Hello people, welcome back to Kayla Creates. I'm Kayla, and today I'm going to be rambling about a bunch of random stuff that I wanted to ramble about because I want to do voiceover and I don't really have anything planned, but I'm going to do it anyway because I want to. Do I need any more explanation than that? No, I don't. Thank you. That's what I thought. So I had a very loose outline written down that I completely forgot about for a speed draw just in my sketchbook that never actually, I don't even think I finished the picture, so yeah, obviously that never took off. Luckily, I found it when I was looking for something to talk about, and I've got 5 points here. I'm probably only going to hit a couple of them, but I'm going to talk about the couple that I want to talk about. So first of all, this drawing, her name is Kayleen. She is mostly created by my cousin with a little help from me, and I'm just going to read the description that we wrote down about her because he got everything. So she has a power of mind reading. She has freckles, which is my favorite part of the drawing. I think they're so cute. She's French, with Hispanic heritage, dark cherry hair, likes to wear sweaters and tights, likes to crochet. She's very funny and kind, curious and envious, and she is 5 feet and 8 inches tall. My cousin really thought of anything. Shout out to you. Alright, so now for the random voiceover points. My first one I have written down is She-Ra. Woohoo! So it's She-Ra and the Princess of Power 2020. That's when it ended, 2020. I just had a lot of thoughts about it because I grew up watching the original He-Man and She-Ra's from the 80s. My dad just put them down on a disc and we watched them in the car on long trips, and so She-Ra and He-Man were my heroes and I adored them and I loved watching the thingies. So I just had a lot of thoughts about the way they integrated the legend, I guess, the original into the new shows. Some of it's alright, most of it, just because I'm picky, I was like, no. For example, they never explained what Grayskull is. Well, I mean, they did, but it was a fighter, like a fighter legion or something. I forgot. But in the original, it was a castle where they drew their powers from. So I'm gonna start by explaining the original story behind this. So after He-Man ended, Mattel was like, hey, let's make a new toy, which means we have to make a new series to sell it. And it was She-Ra. The story is, He-Man and She-Ra, you can already tell by those names they've got some connection. So the story is He-Man and She-Ra, whose alternate identities are Adora and Adam, Princess Adora and Prince Adam, and they were born twins on the planet called Eternia, not Etheria, Eternia. Hordak and the He-Man villain named Skeletor were well, they weren't friends because, they're evil, and evil people can't have friends. I guess that's what those old cartoons taught me, is that evil people don't have friends. So they were just partners in crime, quite literally. They abducted Adora, and Hordak brought her back to Etheria, and Skeletor stayed to be the main villain. Hordak now has Adora, and he's raising her in the Horde, making her believe that evil is good. And Prince Adam's parents never told him that he had a twin because they didn't want him to be sad that, she got freaking kidnapped out of her literal cradle. So he never knew until one time. He's got a magical sword too, and that helps him turn into He-Man. So the sorceress calls him down to Castle Grayskull, which is the source of both He-Man and She-Ra's powers, and she's like, hey, come check out this sword and come check out one of these doors in the castle. So he does, and then he finds out, oh my gosh, this door leads to Etheria, and then he finds Adora, and they're like, oh wow, we're twins, and then he helps Adora get back on track, gives her the sword, and helps her become She-Ra and everything. And she was gonna come back to Eternia and be siblings with him. And then she's like, actually, now that I have this power, I can't do that because I still need to liberate these people from the Horde. So that's, then it just goes on from there in very repetitive episodes that never build off of each other and that never really end. So that's the whole original story. I loved the story of the newer, the reboot of She-Ra. But at the same time, I was like, are they ever gonna mention He-Man? Which, I can totally understand why they didn't, but I was like, are they ever going to mention that she has a twin? Or where she came from? Because the whole thing was Eternia, and I probably just didn't pay attention very well, but I don't remember anything about when they explained Eternia and its relation to Etheria. And the first ones, I'm pretty sure it was just oh yes, the first ones are from Eternia, and now they're in Etheria. Yeah, anyway, that's the whole thing. So I was really hoping that they were going to bring in the He-Man thing to She-Ra, but it's understandable that they didn't. And with that, I did see the new He-Man trailer, and I'm afraid because I love this series so much, and I'm like, if this doesn't go according to plan, I will cry. But life doesn't go according to plan, so I just have to deal with it. Anyway, so yeah, those are all my thoughts on that franchise. Probably the only other point that I have written down that I'm like actually going to talk about is the plays that I've been doing this summer. I recently found out that I loved theater, so I did Anastasia last spring, and then over the summer I auditioned and made my dream role of Clarice LaRue in the Percy Jackson musical, and that was so much fun to play. I played Clarice and Charon the Ferryman. Clarice's notes, I had to belt a G5, which is very, very high, and if you can't tell just by my regular talking voice, I am like a tenor when I sing. That was rough, but you know what? I did it. I got my teeth knocked out. So we were learning Greek sword fighting because we needed to choreograph a bunch of fight scenes. First full run through, and the producer was there, and I feel really bad because we were like, this is gonna be a really good one. We just did it with the space that we had, and I was running at Annabeth with my spear, and I was supposed to, you know, do our whole little fight choreographed scene, and I wasn't supposed to be blocking anybody. So I go run at her with my spear, not thinking that somebody is going to come at me with any sort of weapon. And my friend came and she swung her sword at her sister, who was going to block, but it didn't go to her sister's sword, it went to my mouth instead. And I got the bottom half of my 2 front teeth knocked out, and it was traumatizing, but honestly the best part and the most memorable experience of the entire summer. The bottom half of my 2 front teeth are now completely fake. They're just cavity fillings. If you look really closely, which I hope I'm the only one who's looking really closely at my teeth, because that would be weird. But if you look really closely, you can see that there's like a little border. It's almost like see-through, just because it's so thin. Like the fake part is so thin. I'm not upset with this girl at all. I thought the whole thing, it wasn't hilarious at the time, but now looking back, it's like, oh my gosh, look at this great story. I literally got my teeth knocked out with a sword. Who else can say that they got their teeth knocked out with a sword? It was a really interesting summer. During this, I was also in a production of The Addams Family, but because I was also doing The Lightning Thief, I just didn't have time to be at every rehearsal for The Addams Family, so I ended up doing Spotlight instead, which I don't recommend. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, any theater kids out there, any tech kids, if you are considering doing any sort of tech, Spotlight, you move the light. That's all. And maybe that's for some people because it is pretty chill and it's very much in the background. No eyes are on you or anything, if that's kind of your thing, what you're more comfortable with if you like theater, but you don't necessarily like being on stage. That's probably for you. It just wasn't for me. I personally prefer I did stage crew for one of the plays, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed like being backstage, being able to help out with whatever the actors needed, and also doing the set. I also did a lot of props for the Addams Family. We had a lot of unforeseen complications, so me and a couple of my friends basically ended up doing the set design, and I took over props. She took over mainly the set design. Shout out to you, Sydney, I love you. We had so many amazing people just come and help out on their off time, just when they didn't need to after rehearsal, and be like, what can I paint? What can I do to help? What can I clean? And I was like, oh my gosh, you angel. So it was so stressful, but it was also so rewarding because there were so many people who just came through, and it was the most rewarding and just like sweetest thing ever. Like it just reiterated to me how awesome these people are that I was working with. If any of you guys happen to be watching this, I love you all. You guys all rock so much, and you make me want to cry because I love you and you guys are so amazing. But that was all I had to talk about. This was a very rambly style thing, so yeah. Anyway, if you made it to the end, thank you for making it to the end, and you rock. And I don't usually do this, but comment like a let's do a paintbrush emoji. Comment a paintbrush emoji if you are hearing this right now. I hope you guys are all safe out there. Sorry that this was a very unstructured, very messy, very cringe video, but I hope you guys are safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.